Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. So today we are trying to find a good place for this. Today we are doing a physical TBR video. I got this idea from a good friend, Ilana. She also has a channel. You guys should go watch her. I'll have a link to a video on the description, but I got this idea from her. She showed all her books that she has not read yet, but that she owns. And for the last few months, I've been getting a lot of books. So I'm gonna kind of not show off, but show what I've accumulated. And it is like a virus. It's spreading. So we're gonna start with recent acquisitions that I just got, like from the mail within the last month, and Barnes and Noble pickups that I've done, and used bookstore pickups. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. So as you can tell, I'm sitting on the ground. I have my trunk here. I'm gonna be stacking them up. So I think at some point I will be covered. So there's a big stack. So hopefully they don't fall. We'll see. So let's go ahead and start. The first book is one that I'm really excited to read. It is just recently wrapped up. The final book has come out this year. And it is Rebecca Krang's The Poppy Boy. I don't know much about this. All I know is that it's like an Asian fantasy series. So I'm excited for it. Apparently the final book is really good. So I'm really excited to read this. I don't want to cover my mic. I'll put it here. So, thank you, Chase, by the way, for the microphone. He bought me this early on, like when I started. So, big shout out to him. The next one is a movie that I've loved by Hayao Miyazaki, and it is Kiki's Delivery Service. This is a hardback cover of it. I got this pretty cheap on Amazon. As much as I hate Amazon, sometimes it's really hard to find this book. So I'm excited to read this. I am very interested to see the differences and what Miyazaki kept and all that. So that is Kiki's Delivery Service by Eiko Kadono. I guess I'll have to put it like this. So this next book is one that I have been really excited to read because I'm doing the Reddit fantasy bingo, and one of them has to be a nonfiction fantasy. So basically like a biography or like behind the scenes of like fantasy. So I bought the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien that his son Christopher Tolkien put together. So it goes through like the entire history of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit through letters by J.R.R. Tolkien. So I'm really excited for this. It's much longer than I thought it was. I thought it'd be like 200 pages, but it is like almost 500 pages long. So I'm excited to read this. I don't know when I'll get to it, but by March next year is the deadline. So the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. So this next one is one I've been on the lookout for. I actually bought this on Amazon, like really cheap. And then the next day I went to a used bookstore and I found it. And I found this book in there for the same price, and I was really disappointed because it was already like on the way shipped. So this is House by the Carillion Sea. House in the Carillion Sea by T.J. Klune. This is like a queer fantasy book that everyone loves, and it's filling in for my found family bingo square on the bingo. So it's really relatively short. It's pretty big font, so it's pretty cool. So that is House in the Carillion Sea. My microphone's getting covered. This next one is a buddy read that I'm doing with excuse me, sore throat, that I'm doing with Alfonsina and Cheyenne. this is a book that has been recommended a lot by them, or by Cheyenne specifically, and that is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's a really weird, like, multi-timeline, huge cast of characters book. I don't know much beyond that, but I found this. I had an embarrassing situation happen to me when I was looking for this at Barnes & Noble, because I kept finding this author, but not this book. So I was like, oh, okay, they must be sold out. And for like a month straight, every week, I would go to Barnes & Noble and look for this, and I couldn't find it. And finally, I went to an employee, and I was like, do you guys have this book? And they were like, oh, yeah, it's right over there. And it was like at the end of like the shelf. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I quickly grabbed it and ran away. But yeah, that was a really embarrassing moment. But I'm really happy to have this now. It's going to be so fun to buddy read this. Oh, it's almost covered. So this one is going to be a reread. I found this for like $2 at my used bookstore. That is actually a walking distance away from my work. So I'm now going there instead of McKay's, because McKay's is like a 10 to 15 minute drive from work. And I'd rather walk, the 5 minutes to the new bookstore that I found. So the book that I got is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I love this book when I first read it in like 6th grade. And I remember blasting through the series, and I don't really remember much, shockingly. Like, I remember a lot of moments, but not like specific plot lines. So, having hiccups. I'm excited to read this. This is actually the same edition I had back in 6th grade. But this one's a little beat up. It's a little yellow on the edges. So, this will be a lot of fun to reread. I haven't found the sequels yet, because I'm going to read this first and then decide if I want to continue on. I probably will, because I never read the sequel series. They were like a rumor when I finished the last book. So, I never thought about it again, and then it was recently I was talking to someone, and they were like, oh yeah, like, there are a bunch of books out, like, now. There's like 4 different sequel series. I was like, oh, okay. Gotta reread that. So, here it is. My microphone is officially covered. So this is the last recent pickup that I had. This is one that I have been just wanting to read, but never got the motivation to buy it, because I could never find it for cheap on like in the used bookstore or anything. But that it is Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself. This is book 1 of the First Law trilogy. He is about to release a final book in the Age of Madness trilogy that takes place like 1,000 years later or something. But I'm so excited for this. I know it's grimdark, which I don't know about, but I'm excited to read this. This has been on my TBR like since it came out. So, Blade Itself. I gotta make sure this is all lined up so it doesn't fall. Should probably put the big book on the bottom. So I'm gonna now show a couple books of a series I'm reading right now that I have. So the first one is book 10 of Wheel of Time, Crossroads of Twilight. This is the final of the cool covered ones that I have. So I got this for like $2 from my used bookstore. So I'm really excited for this. I haven't really... We just recorded the discussion on book 9, Winter's Heart, yesterday. And today's Saturday when I'm recording. So I am excited for this. I did not really care for Winter's Heart except for the beginning and end. There wasn't much in between that I liked, except for Elaine's story. So that video will be out probably before this or after. I don't know yet. Haven't decided. But this is book 10, so let's just stack that. And then now here's what I have what I call the grocery store bread aisle editions. It's the newer ones. I don't really like it. I wish we could just have the original covers, but you can't really find the original ones really all that easily anymore. I actually found the final book of Memory for Light for like $4 on hardback cover, and I should have bought it, but I didn't, because I instead bought books that I don't already own. And it was just really funny because it was like this great big like chunky book. I should have got it, but this is Knife of Dreams book 11, the final book that Robert Jordan wrote, unfortunately. This is Gathering Storm, Brandon Sanderson's first book he wrote in the Wheel of Time. Gotta stack it very carefully. And then Towers of Midnight, book 13. And then Memory for Light, of Light, the final Wheel of Time book. So I am actually going to, I'm going to restack this so I can have this on the bottom, because it's getting a little wobbly. There we go. Oh, y'all can see that way better now. It's closer. Okay. And we're going to put this back. I may be covered up by the end of this. And then Memory of Light. I guess I can't stack it any higher. Okay, we'll see what happens. So the next one is a used copy of Fires of Calderon. Yep, Calderon by Jim Butcher. This is his other series called Codex Solera that he wrote. I have a couple Dresden File books that I'll be showing soon, but I found this for like really cheap, and this is a complete series, so I'm interested in it. He got challenged by like an English professor that you can't write a book without like passion or something, and like starting from like a random idea. And Jim Butcher was like, okay, give me a random weird idea. And the professor was like, okay, Roman Legion meets Pokemon. And he wrote like a 7-book series about it. And apparently it's really good. So that's that. Fires of Calderon. The next book is one I'm really excited to have. It is, what's his name? Michael Crichton's Andromeda Strain. I got this for 50 cents. So I love Jurassic Park. There's a movie that just came out through Era Video. That's like an adaptation of this, so I'm excited to read that. But this is a really short book, actually. It's like 100 pages. 275. So I'm excited to read it. I don't know much about it. It's like supposed to be his like best, and it's like the first book he wrote, so I'm excited to have it. Okay. So this next one is the sequel to Jurassic Park, The Lost World. You can see there's about a lot of stickers added to it. I also got this for 50 cents, and it's like a new copy, so I really lucked out, because my Jurassic Park copy, if you guys don't remember, is like awful, and it's like torn and very yellow and disgusting. But I'm excited to read this. This is the sequel. Totally different from the movies, from what I've heard. So I'm excited. This next one is book 1 of the Dragonlance Chronicles, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. It looked cool. Me and one of my friends were in Barnes & Noble, and I was like, look at that cover. It has like dwarves, gnomes, a human warrior, an archer, like all this stuff. But this is where Dungeons and Dragons went to in like the 80s, is novels. And Margaret Weiss and Gene Hackman, or not Hackman, Tracy Hickman. Uh, they're like a husband and wife duo or something, and they wrote a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons books in the 80s, and they still write them today. But this is book one of like 40 books that they've written. So I'm excited to have this. Found it for cheap, so. And I love Dungeons and Dragons, so that. So this next one's a biography that I got for like Christmas like a year or two ago, but it's Kurosawa's something like an autobiography. This is my favorite director ever, for the most part. There's like others that I enjoy more, but I think he is the best director ever. But it goes all the way up to, it's like an interview series with Kurosawa where he recounts from his first memory all the way to him finishing Rashomon, which is like his first big hit. So I'm excited to read this. There's another one that Will has been telling me about that I'm on the lookout for. So this one, though, is what I'm going to read first. I got it. Ugh. Oh, you guys can kind of see that. Okay. Okay. I just had to bring everything closer. So this next one is the first three books of the Dresden Files. Cheyenne has read a few, and so has Ilana, and they both really like it. So I've actually had this set for like since high school, because one of my favorite video game YouTubers was a huge fan of the series, and he always talked about it. And I had just read Song of Ice and Fire, so I was looking for the next big series, and this book was also, or the series was also in hiatus for a while, but he's been releasing books now again, so after like 10 years of not. So this has been put up high on my priority list, so I'm excited. This is going to be so dangerous. This next one's another reread. I got this really cheap at my bookstore. It is Aragon. I read it when the movie came out, in preparation actually for the movie. And it's like the day I finished, we went out and saw it in theaters, and everyone cried. Not really, but everyone's really disappointed. So I want to reread this and read the sequels. I could not stand the sequel, but apparently it's much better if you're older, because I was in like 4th grade or 5th grade when I read it. So that's Aragon. Oof. This next one is a book that one of my favorite shows is adapted from. It is Bernard Cornwell's Last Kingdom. I love the show. You guys should go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's about the forming of Britain and England with King Alfred, and the main character is Uhtred, son of Uhtred, who is like, he's a Dane, but also a Briton. So I'm really excited to read the books. The final book comes out this year, so I thought I'd start and enjoy it. So, okay, we'll start here too. So the next one is Harold the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I'm really excited for this one. Me and Ilana are going to do a review on both this book and Gideon the Ninth, but I really like this cover. I love the hardback version too. Like, looks really slick, and it feels great in the hand. So yeah, if you haven't seen my Gideon the Ninth review, go watch that if you want my thoughts on it. I really love it. To summarize. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. This is a nightmare. Everything is getting kind of wobbly. I'm going to put this back a bit. Okay. I have a lot of big books. I'm going to do that later when I do my next stack here. The next book is book one of a series. It's The Rune Lords by David Farland. He was the teacher of creative writing before Brandon Sanderson, and Brandon loves David Fallon's books, so I was like, I'll pick it up. So I did. I'm gonna put these two on the bottom. Yeah. Oh, here I am. Hello. Put this here. And then I have book 2. I love these covers, by the way. They look so awesome in classic fantasy. Ugh, my goodness. And then I got book 3 of it. I just love that cover. It is so weird. It's amazing. And then me and Cheyenne are doing a buddy read on this too. It is The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Veteran mercenaries get together again and try to rescue one of the daughters or something. I don't know much, but the original grimdark book. Super excited. Okay, now you can only see my arm. Hi. So, yeah, we'll do one more book on this stack. So this is book 2 of Realm of the Elderlings, but this is book 2 of this trilogy about Fitz. It is Royal Assassin of the Farseer trilogy. I really liked book 1. I just haven't been motivated to read book 2, so I have it just in case for when I eventually read it. Okay, I can't put any more on that stack because you won't be able to see it. So let's go back to big books. So this is a book I found for $4, and you can see the tag here. But it is The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. Regarded as one of the best fantasy novels ever. They put all 4 short stories in here, so I'm really happy to have it. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not even going to touch it. Next one is book 1 of the Powder Mage trilogy, Promise of Blood. Guns and fantasy. I love it. So Mistborn Era 2 it's like a cowboy series with guns, and I really like the magic in that book. So in those book series, and so this one is regarded really well. It's written by Brian McClellan, who is I think Brandon Sanders's student from that class that he took over from David Fallon. So I'm excited to read it. So this next one is going to be a buddy read eventually with one of my friends that I've known for a while. And this is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. It is a big chunky book, and the type or the font is really tiny and small. And it's like tiny margins, and you can see it's like hundreds of pages. So I haven't got motivation to read it yet, but I'm really excited. He loves it. So that is Infinite Jest. Okay, so we're in the final few books. So this is book 3 of that Robin Hobb series, Assassin's Crest. I accidentally read the back of this because I thought this was book 2, and it spoiled the end for book 2. So I think that doesn't help me at all with my motivation. So yeah. I don't like that glare. So this is the final book that I have in my physical TBR. And this is book 1 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. I tried to read this back at high school, like immediately after Song of Ice and Fire. And I got about 250 pages in, and I had no idea what was going on. And I gave up. But I heard that nobody understands what's going on the first read. So everyone says to like push past and get to at least book 2, and then that's when it gets really good. So I'm going to attempt to reread this. I'm really excited. This is going to be my next big series after Wheel of Time. So yeah, this is Gardens of the Moon, book 1. Okay, you guys can kind of see me here. Hi. But yeah, That is my physical TBR. A whole lot of fantasy. A whole lot of big chunky books. A lot of books I got for cheap. So, yeah. I hope you guys really enjoy this video. I want to thank Ilana for inspiring me to make this video, because I think it'd be really funny for people to see the curse that all booktubers have, and just, big book readers in general, and that they're always buying new books, even when they already have a bunch of books they gotta read. But this is fun. I have a great time doing this. So I hope everyone enjoys this video, and I want to thank you for watching it. So have a great day.